What's going on, Saints fans? Welcome into another edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I'm your host, Trace Girouard. No matter where you are or how you're watching, I always appreciate the Who Dat Nation for making us a part of their day. So we're going to dive into the latest around the head coaching news. Some big news happened across the National Football League, and it greatly impacts the black and gold. But really quick, I want to encourage you, after you're done watching this video, to go check out our morning video discussing the head coaching search heating up. And you would know everything that we're going to talk about if you were subscribed. This is the thumbnail. That's going to be the best way to find the video. It's linked in the comments. It's linked in the description of this video, so don't miss out. I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss any videos. We've been putting out multiple videos a day every single week for a past few weeks because I'm trying to ramp things up. I'm trying to improve the coverage for you Saints fans. You deserve the best, so I'm trying to give you the best. So please feel free, lock us in, subscribe for free videos, and to get more videos on your recommended feed. Now, the latest news that shakes up the National Football League, this is massive, this is huge, this is very big. Ben Johnson, he has officially been hired as the Chicago Bears head coach, which I think is an excellent hire. There's also chatter that he might bring in Dennis Allen to be his defensive coordinator. There's also even rumors that maybe Darren Rizzi could be the special teams coordinator. So, just kind of keep an eye out for that. We'll see what happens with those two guys. Obviously, Rizzi's still tied to the New Orleans Saints. He's still a candidate for the head coaching job. Dennis Allen, he has been fired by the Saints earlier in the season, so obviously he is looking for employment elsewhere. But I also wanted to get you informed on Albert Breer and what he had to say. We're going to talk about Ben Johnson here in just a second on the back half of today's video and how it impacts the New Orleans Saints, because when it comes down to it, the fact that Aaron Glenn is interviewing with the New Orleans Saints here pretty soon, and the fact that these guys are also going to be having their second interviews, it is very good news. And I do think that the Saints bringing in Mike Kafka, Anthony Weaver, Joe Brady, Kellen Moore, I think that them bringing those guys in is indicative of what kind of head coach they want. But a name that you don't see here is Mike McCarthy. And that's a name that's been tied to the New Orleans Saints pretty recently as a rumor, but it's officially official. Nick Underhill reported earlier today that the Saints are setting up an in-person interview with Mike McCarthy, and the goal is to have that interview conducted later this week. And this will be the first interview with the New Orleans Saints for Mike McCarthy. So when you go back and you look at that Albert Breer tweet and you're like, wait, where's Mike McCarthy? Where are these guys in Cliff Kingsbury? Why isn't he listed by Albert Breer? Well, it's because they haven't interviewed yet. He was specifically mentioning the second round of interviews for those guys. And, with Mike McCarthy, he joins the list of head coaching candidates that have been officially requested to interview Cliff Kingsbury. We've talked about it in our morning video. Again, another reason to subscribe. He is not going to be interviewing for other jobs until after the postseason is done for the Washington Commanders. Until they're not alive, they're going to keep going. And I will also add this with Mike McCarthy. Expect these head coaching interviews to possibly get moved around. There's a lot of bad weather, and weather delays may cause or weather problems may cause delays for interviews. Look at this. This is just for the Louisiana area. This is just the Gulf Coast region. It's going to be in a winter alert, a warning through Wednesday. And then, look at this. We're going to go Weatherman Trizzy. Full on, here we go. It's pretty much cold everywhere. This just shows you the lows going through Tuesday evening. It's going to be cold pretty much entirely across the country. So you see this, no matter where these coaches are going to be flying in, when you're flying into this region right around here, it's still going to be cold. So unless you're coming all the way from LA, or unless you're coming from, South Florida, you're going to be dealing with some inclement weather. So, when it comes down to the New Orleans Saints and that hiring process, I do think that this is something they want to make happen quickly. The fact that they're in round 2 is something that indicates that they're trying to make something happen quickly. But at the end of the day, we want the Saints to make a good hire. So if you're with me and you totally agree, drop a like so you don't jinx it. We need the Saints to nail this head coaching hire, and I want the Saints to make a smart decision. So if you agree, like this video. And coming up, we're going to discuss what I'm hearing about the head coaching search. Obviously, Mike McCarthy is now officially a candidate that will be interviewed for the New Orleans Saints. Cliff Kingsbury still not interviewing, again, like I said, until the Commanders are knocked out of the playoffs or until the season's done. But we still have a lot of incredible names and a lot of really intriguing names and intriguing options. So just hang tight. I'm hearing a lot about the head coaching search, and I think I have some insight as to who it could be. But really quick, got to give a shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's video. I highly encourage you check out Game Time Picks, a new feature on the Game Time app. Basically, how it works is it filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on seats. That way you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets that you know you're not interested in buying anyway. Game Time has a lot of other great features such as all-in pricing, which all you do is toggle this feature. It shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkouts. You can also get seat views, the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And you get Game Time ticket coverage, So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Rod Wave is about to start performing in New Orleans, so if you want to get some last-second tickets, I highly encourage you to check out Game Time. Download the Game Time app, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but you can get tickets to sports, to concerts, comedy shows, theater, jazz fest, anything in between on Game Time. So download the Game Time app, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Alrighty, so what I'm hearing around this head coaching search is that Aaron Glenn is actually the top choice for the New Orleans Saints, and Mike McCarthy is actually going to be their second option. And this is pretty interesting when you consider the fact that Aaron Glenn, he is pretty much the best option available now, especially knowing Ben Johnson's off the table. I mean, who's a better option? I don't think Joe Brady's a better option. I don't think John Gruden is getting a head coaching job. Dennis Allen, definitely not a better option, Coop. I just don't see a lot of other targets, a lot of names that are much, much better and just leaps and bounds better than Aaron Glenn. I think that Aaron Glenn would be an excellent choice for the New Orleans Saints. And Josina Anderson, she's putting this out there. This was something we discussed earlier. The Jets and the Saints, they are expected to be battling it out for the Saints, or for the head coaching job for Aaron Glenn. The Jets and Saints will battle it out to see who can land Aaron Glenn, who can win that sweepstakes. And, we're saying right now that the Jets actually might be the best choice and the first choice for Aaron Glenn. The Brian Cosman, a reporter for the New York Times, he put out an article saying that Aaron Glenn has told people the Jets are his first choice. But, all I have to say is I don't know if the Jets are the better option. I think with the Jets, you're in a tougher division. You're going to have to deal with the Bills. You're in a very tough conference in the AFC. In the NFC, South is horrible. I understand that the cap space and draft picks, and I understand all that may not be ideal, but I think the Saints might be a better option than the Jets. And, the ownership for the Jets is a nightmare, whereas at least the Saints, they're willing to spend the money if you'll, beg them to. But I just got to say, I think that the Johnson to Chicago is great news. I actually think this is really good news for the Saints. Because no matter what, the Saints are going to get one of their top choices. Whether it's Aaron Glenn or whether it's Mike McCarthy, what I'm understanding and what people are telling me close to the situation are that if the Bears didn't hire Ben Johnson, they were very interested in Mike McCarthy. They were tied to Mike McCarthy. They interviewed McCarthy multiple times. Or not multiple times. They interviewed him for the job. So the Bears, they landed their puzzle piece. The Ben Johnson conversation's done. So that means Mike McCarthy to the Saints is probably the most likely outcome for Mike McCarthy. Maybe Aaron Glenn goes to the Jets. Maybe he doesn't and he actually goes to New Orleans. If you miss out on both of them, well, then maybe you get Joe Brady as a consolation. Like, I just know that the Saints are going to get one of their top choices, which is a really good thing, in my opinion. So I just want you to let me know, who is your top choice for the next head coaching position. For me, I think right now the best choice for the Saints is Aaron Glenn or Joe Brady. I think those are my top two choices. They have been my top two choices, and I'm going to kind of stay consistent with that. One thing I want to add real quick, Coop, before we go to this, I know that people are going to sit here and say, oh, the Saints are only interviewing a bunch of people so they can land the 7th or 8th option and say that was their top option. That's a load of shit. That's not true. You're being a pessimistic, negative Nancy for no absolute reason whatsoever. The Saints are going to hire who they want to hire. If they miss out on Aaron Glenn, they're interviewing these candidates for a reason, because they're interested. Just because you don't like the candidate doesn't mean that internally the Saints don't like the candidate. So just keep that in mind. I will say that. But reminder, check out the morning video. It's linked in the comments. It's linked in the description of this video. So click on the link. Find this thumbnail on YouTube. There's a lot of good information around the Saints head coaching search that we discussed earlier. I didn't want to double up and talk about it again, so a lot of information between two videos. I highly encourage you get informed. And reminder, this is why you subscribe. Y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.